Hello and welcome in Expose Podcast. Happy New Year for everybody. Today we have a very special guest, Alexis Nee. Alexis is relationship coach and love coach, and we are going to chat about transformation from surviving to thriving. Let me invite Alexis. Trans.
Team. Oh,
Hi!
please. Hi, how are you doing?
I'm feeling really good. How are you going?
Great, you look wonderful. I love your, can you show us more?
Yeah, my cat is.
Yes, looks creative. I love that. And your pink hair. I was just introducing you as a love and relationship coach. Alexis is from Australia, but actually she lives in Spain. And she's helping people around the world transform their lives and take their power back and be happy and fulfill human beings. So thank you so much, Alexis, for coming to our podcast. Thank you also for helping my community on Facebook and my documentary and sharing your story in my documentary. We met a few months ago, actually, and today we are here doing podcast live. So I'm super excited.
Super excited. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. It's my pleasure. We have some people joining. Jana Stock Manifest Coach. Hi, Jana.
Hey, Anna.
Right,
Thanks for joining.
or it's your friend, right?
I think we are Instagram friends.
Wonderful, wonderful. If you have any questions for Alexis, please write in the comments. And this is a space where we are all healing in community. And Alexis today is going to talk about transformation from thriving to surviving and taking your power back. And as a beginning, um, I would love to ask you, can you hear me in a good way,
Yes.
Alexis?
Yep. Can you hear me clearly?
Okay. I hear a little like interruptions, but maybe it's my headphones. I'm not sure.
I might put my headphones in. Maybe that'll make it easier.
Let's see. Or Jana, if you can hear us properly, write in the comments.
Yeah, Anna, let us know if you can hear us.
Hello? Something frozen.
Ah, back. Is that better?
Yes, now it's super cool. All right. So, Alexis, I would love to ask you about your story and what actually made you to become love and relationship coach. And yeah, how did you discover that inside you?
Okay, so I'll start with, I think I'll just frame what I do firstly, just so people can understand like where my story kind of comes into place. So I'm a relationships and energy coach. So I specialize in self-love, in healing, in just really helping people to love, express, and be themselves, to have high vibe energy, and to really attract the love that they desire into their life. Because your outer world is a reflection of your inner world, right? So if you transform the most important relationship, which is the relationship that you have with yourself, then it becomes really, really easy to attract really loving, beautiful, healthy relationships into your life. Now, the reason why I'm so passionate about this and where my story came from is I came from a space of self-hate, right? Like I hated myself, my body, my life. I was the ultimate people pleaser. I'm a massive empath. which is why I'm also into energy healing. And I was a toxic relationship magnet, right? So I was a perfectionist. I put everybody else first. I didn't even know what it meant to like have your own power or to take back your power, which, by the way, if you're wondering, because I know it's such a cliched term that everyone talks about, it's like take back your power, blah, blah, blah. But what on earth does that mean? Taking back your power means that you're putting your wants, needs, and opinions above everybody else's. You're not making anybody else's wants, needs, or opinion more important than your own. Type in power if that resonates with you. Hey, Mario, thank you so much for joining. So I was in toxic relationship. Sorry. I inhaled too much air. I'm so excited.
You're on fire.
Yeah, I know, right? I was in toxic relationships all my life. And the last one, I was in it for, my last relationship was, 6 years? But I really want to just explain to people that a toxic relationship is an unhealthy relationship, right? It's a relationship where you don't love yourself. It's a relationship where you're codependent. It could be abusive. That's physically, mentally, emotionally abusive. And it doesn't have to be with your significant other. It could be with family, friends, colleagues, like any other type of relationship, right? And if you're finding yourself in a toxic relationship, then know that it is absolutely, you can absolutely break out of it and you can break that pattern. So I was in a state of massive depression, massive anxiety, massive overwhelm, completely not looking after myself, feeling so completely trapped financially, emotionally, physically, mentally, everything, like you can name it, right, in that relationship. And so I really believe in alignment, and I really believe that everything happens for a reason. Type in reason if you believe the same. And like everything in my life fell apart. That relationship fell apart. My corporate job fell apart. Like everything in that old world, in that old life, broke apart and fell apart for me. So I had to reclaim my identity. I had to build up myself from scratch. But as a result, I learned how to love myself. I learned how to become like really authentically myself, like, you know, the hair, the cat ears or whatever, like being really, really confident in myself and not caring what anybody else thinks, says, feels, or does, because I've really harnessed the fact that this is my life and I'm the hero of my own story, right? And that's what I really love, empowering people to do the same. And I love expressing myself. So that's where my journey was. That's how I came to be who I am and what I do today, because there's nothing that gives me more greater pleasure and joy than seeing my clients break out of the pattern of toxic relationships, B, seeing them like really, really fall in love with themselves, and then finding a love that is worthy and deserving of them, right? Like a really healthy, beautiful love, right? Whether it be with friends, with family, or with a significant other. And then in addition to that, like seeing them express themselves, like for me, that's a massive, massive, massive thing. So whether it be like I've had a few clients who wanted to become coaches, so they became coaches, they started showing up authentically online, which is a lot to break out of. Like you've got to break free of fear of rejection, fear of judgment, fear of imposter syndrome, fear of procrastination, fear of perfectionism to get to that point, right? So seeing them do that, it has been such a phenomenal thing to witness, and something that I'm so incredibly honored to be part of their journey. That's me.
Well, thank you so much, Alexis, for sharing that, and thank you for listening your intuition and giving yourself a new chance to start everything from beginning. Because I understood that you rose like a phoenix from ashes, right? As you decided to leave everything behind you and be brave to actually, that was a risk you took. So, so you mentioned something what really is in my head right now, that taking your power back means that you are putting your needs, your priorities first, right?
Yeah. So my definition of taking your power back is, so often we get caught in putting somebody else's, like valuing someone else's opinion or putting their wants and needs above our own, right? But that is exactly, like, that is the point of taking back your power. It's when you go, you know what? The most important opinion is mine. The person's needs and wants that I have to prioritize above everybody else's is mine, right? And that includes being a mother. Like, I know, when you have a baby, you've got to look after a baby. I totally get that. But if you're honestly, if you're not looking after your health, then what kind of mother are you going to be for your child? So I like, and the reason why I talk about that is that that's the most extreme case, right? But where I feel like, especially as women, we're conditioned to put everybody else's wants and needs ahead of our own. But that is honestly the definition of taking back your power. It's when you go, you know what? Nobody else's opinion matters. Like, yeah, sure, they may be important, but the most important opinion is yours, because it's not, you're not living everybody else's life. You're living your life. And at the end of the day, when you pass away and you're on your deathbed, like, it's, you've like, it's about you and what you want, and have you fulfilled your dreams, your passions, your goals, etc. It's not about trying to be someone for everybody else. It's not about making anybody else happy, because at the end of the day, it's your life. It's not everybody else's, and you're living your life for you. And I feel like that's something that everybody forgets. Thanks, Daddy.
Yes, we have a comment from Danny. Went no contact, so true. So many hearts were sending to you as you were talking. So thank you guys for the feedback. If you have any questions for Alexis, please write in comments. And my next question for you is actually how to develop that intuition, or do we have the intuition in us already? And is it possible to increase that silent voice in us?
Absolutely. So I have a strong belief that everybody is, sorry, I'm holding this in my hand. I have a strong belief that everyone is incredibly gifted, right? Type in gifted if you're kind of like, oh yeah, this resonates with you. So everyone is incredibly gifted. Everyone has an internal compass, and that is your intuition. You are incredibly powerful, and all the answers lie within you. I'm going to repeat that again. All the answers lie within you. So stop looking outside of yourself for answers, for validation, for like, you know, your 10-step plan, whatever. Use your intuition. Now, I want to be really, really, really specific about this, because this is something that I really, really struggled with. And I feel like it was really hard for me to find the answers. And now I finally have them. I want to fucking shout it from the rooftops, right? Intuition is something that comes to, like, something that comes to you, and it's very, very personalized, and it's very, very individual, and it's very, very unique. So the way that somebody else receives their intuition may not be the way that you receive your intuition, right? So what you have to do is you have to work on listening and identifying how you receive your intuition. So I want to explain, first of all, what is intuition and what are the common signs or signals or whatever that you're receiving in an intuitive hit. So intuition is basically your body, your heart, your soul, your higher self, whatever you want to call it, telling you whether or not you should do something. So it's internal guidance, right? And you can feel this in certain ways. You can feel this in your gut. You can feel this when like your gut literally tightens or it gets heavy. You can feel your body getting light or heavy. You can feel your energy, your body feeling contracted or expanded. You can feel, maybe you can feel like, you know, your palms get sweaty, or you get butterflies, or you hear noises, you hear like buzzing, or you hear a voice, or you just have this inner knowing, this feeling that, yes, I have to do this, or no, I shouldn't do this. You could maybe see words, you could see symbols, you could see signs, you could see numbers like 111, like 1111, like 1111, or 333, or you could start to see synchronicities happen where it's like, yeah, you're going in the right direction. Maybe you start to hear lyrics of a song and it's guiding you in the right direction. So you can start to feel, hear, sense it in different ways. But the main predominant ways are feeling it. So you either feel it in your body, in your gut, in your heart, in your chest, right? You either hear it, so you're clairaudient, or you're clairvoyant, where you see. So maybe you see premonitions. Like, I dream about people before they pass away. I used to also see visions. I used to see like, it would be like, you know, like a black screen or white screen with words. Or sometimes now I just ask myself, I'm like, yes or no, which way do I go, right? So you can feel it in different ways. So what I want to ask you, like, with that knowledge, and especially everyone watching, like, how do you feel and sense your intuition? Because once you start identifying it, then it makes it easier for you to strengthen. And it doesn't mean that you've only got like that one way. because what happens is when you start to embrace that, then your other gifts start activating, and then you might become someone that has that deep sense of knowing to someone that has that deep sense of knowing, plus also seeing visions or words or hearing things as well. So Anastasia, like, how do you experience intuition?
Through my dreams, or sometimes I have, like you mentioned, that very silent, it's not like a voice, but you could say voice inside me, right?
Yep.
But which keeps coming back. Well, it just keeps coming back, especially when I'm in the silence, when I do some meditation, and it's just very silent. It's opposite to the ego, which is or inner critic, which is always loud and judging. And this is very like if I don't act on it, it still come back.
Yeah.
And it's never judging.
Yeah.
So it is neutral somewhere.
Absolutely. And I want to really, really be clear about this because it took me a long time to learn this. I want to tell everyone about it, that your intuition, the voice of your heart, the voice of your soul, it's soft. It's not loud, like you said. It can come at the most inconvenient times. It makes no sense. Sometimes it's just one word. Sometimes it's a few words. It's not like a powerful, booming voice of God or whatever you want to call it, right? Like, it's subtle. And it's always the first answer, the first sense that comes through. Hey, thank you for the hearts. We're talking about intuition.
Mm-hmm.
And but the more you pay attention to it, the more you give it power, the more you listen to it, the louder it can get. So whenever and this is a really, really easy test to do it, right? Like, put your hands on your heart, take 3 really deep breaths, and then ask yourself a question. And whatever is the first answer that you receive, no matter how soft, no matter how subtle, no matter how simple, that's the voice of your intuition, your heart, or your soul. The louder voice, the voice that argues with it, the one that's like, no, that's not right, and what about this, and you shouldn't do this, and blah, 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 like that word vomit one, that's your ego, that's your mind, that's your brain. It's designed to keep you safe. So that's not your intuition.
Well, I love all what you said, and thank you so much for all the hearts in the comments. If you have any questions to Alexis, Alexis is love and relationship coach, and we are talking today about transformation from surviving to thriving. And that's actually my next question about, what does it take to shift that, not just mindset, but also embody that sense of safety, grounded, and confidence inside. And I know it takes a work individual, which you can do with Alexis one-on-one. But could you briefly share with us those steps for anybody who's watching, or maybe it's at the very beginning of maybe just left a relationship, which was codependent?
Yeah, absolutely. So basically what is required is you need to learn how to love yourself. Now, I know that sounds really, really like esoteric and basic, and you're just sitting there going, well, duh, like I know I need to love myself, but how do I do that? So I'm a really practical person. So I've broken it down into 5 steps, right? And if you want to learn how to actually apply this and actually love yourself and then transform your outer relationships as well, then most definitely send me a DM and let's have a chat and let's see how I can help you. So what this looks like is the first step is you need to take self-responsibility. So what that means is you need to become really, really aware of what you're doing and what you're not doing in your life. So the patterns, the victimhood, the blaming, the shaming, get really, really aware and responsible for the reality that you've created, right? Because you are the co-creator of your own reality. So everything that you are going through right now, it's a result of you tolerating, of you putting up with, of you allowing yourself to be in that position. Now, I know that that's like a slap in the face. It's like, well, I'm in an abusive relationship. I didn't know it was going to be like this, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I get it. I was there, like physically and mentally, emotionally abusive. I get it. I totally understand. But if you're going to continue that story of victimhood and of like, I can't help it, I have no power, blah, 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 then look at the trajectory that you're going to go down. You have to take self-responsibility because that's the first step to being empowered to go, I can change my situation. And it starts with changing how you think and feel about yourself, right? Then the second step is really, really is understanding self-worth. So self-worth is all about putting yourself first without fear, guilt, or shame. And sometimes, like, yeah, absolutely, it's hard. But when you say no to somebody else, you're saying yes to yourself. So self-worth is all about putting yourself first. It's learning how to do so, right? It's learning how not to be a people pleaser and learning how to actually how to actually really embrace being authentic, because authenticity is all about expressing yourself, is all about saying what you want to say, doing what you want to do, wearing what you want to wear, etc. And that's how you can start to put yourself first, right? Then we're moving into self-expression. So self-expression is all of is exactly that, right? It's expressing yourself in a way that feels good and right and true for you. So for me, like, I'm a visual person, I'm a creative, right? So I love colors, it makes me feel good. I love, like the colored hair, the ears, the like colorful outfits, whatever, right? That's my form of self-expression. And also, like, making videos and sharing what I've learned and sharing, my client successes, etc. That's my form of self-expression. Because when you're not expressing yourself, what you're doing is you're bottling up all the emotions within you. And when emotions are bottled within you, it becomes stuck energy. And stuck energy, most of the time, it's negative, right? So negative fears, negative beliefs. I'm not good enough. I'm unworthy. I'm unlovable. I'm undeserving. Whatever. When you don't address them, those feelings of fear, guilt, shame, anger, resentment, etc., get stuck in your body and in your field, and then they result and they manifest into illness. Like, drop me a sick if you understand and resonate with this, right? I used to be sick and I used to have over 12 different chronic health conditions. So I totally get this. And this is also something that I help my clients unblock as well, right? Like, it's literally, it is insane how deep this can get. I had one of my last clients, he had 45 years of neck pain, which was really affecting his sleep. And if you think about it, if you're not sleeping well, then that affects your mood, it affects your weight because you want to eat crappy food. It was affecting him as a father, which he was really hating because he was being really like, he wasn't being like a really patient, loving dad with his kids because he was always tired and grumpy. And literally after one session, we got rid of that because we identified where was the stuck emotion, which is energy and motion in his body that needed to be released. Now he sleeps like a baby. He's so happy. He's like in an amazing relationship after 5 years. Like, everything's going really, really well for him, right? That's the power of releasing energy. Okay. And then we go to self-respect. Like, self-respect is all about mind, body, and soul respect. It's about giving yourself what you, not just what you believe you deserve, but what you actually want. Because there's a difference between believing what we deserve and wanting it, right? Like, we might want the love, the abundance, the amazing relationships, the great sex, or whatever, but we actually believe that we're not worthy of it. So it's choosing to go, you know what, I'm going to go after what I want, and choosing to believe that I can shift my beliefs to make it happen. Because the belief that a belief is hard to change is just a belief, right? And then lastly, I'm literally crash coursing you through this, right? Lastly, it's self-care. It's mind, body, and soul self-care. It's asking yourself and giving yourself what your mind, body, and soul needs every single day. Because I feel like self-care is something where, like, people are like, oh, like, get massages and baths and, eat healthy and rah, rah, rah. That's base level shit. You should be doing that. Like, that's like brushing your teeth, right? But self-care goes beyond that. Self-care goes to, okay, what does your soul need today? What does your mind need today? And it could be something as simple as rest or watch Netflix, or you need to meditate, or you need to do breath work, or you need to release, like, this heaviness inside of you, or this anger, this fear, resentment, whatever it is. It's mind, body, soul, self-care. It's daily rituals that you need to implement every single day. And, like, it's not easy, right? Like, that's why there's people like me that help other people to do so. It's not a quick fix process. This is a journey, and this is a journey that everybody is always going to continuously be on. But what I can say to you is that you can absolutely go from a point of dark night of the soul, suicidal depression, like I was, hating my mind, hating like everything about myself and my life, to being happy as fuck, to being like feeling so full of love and abundance and support, like I am now, from where I was. Because this vibrant, confident, loud, whatever person that you see today, I was not this person in the past. And that's what I really love helping people to get to as well, because I know how it feels to be miserable and depressed as fuck.
Thank you so much for explaining those 5 steps. And could you repeat again name them?
Yes.
The names?
So self-responsibility, self-expression, self-worth, self-respect, self-care.
And I love what you said also about that if we don't express ourselves, then we get stuck those feelings and emotions, right? So if we don't express, we suppress. And I had this.
Exactly. So the way I explain it is this, right? So you have stuck energy in your body, and it's not necessarily yours, which is a scary thing, right? Like you can you can hang on to or receive trauma 7 generations back and forth. So a lot of this stuff isn't yours. It's energy that you picked up from your family, from generations back, or people, places, and things, right? Like you could go somewhere and there's really heavy energy, and you absorb that energy, right? And you can also absorb like illnesses. You can absorb whatever. Depending upon how sensitive you are. So protecting and raising your energy is just so incredibly important. It's also what I teach. So like when you're at that stage, you really, really, really have to realize and recognize that there is a lot of work that you need to do every single day to get to the point where you're like, yeah, I know how to clear my energy, protect my energy, release my energy. And what happens is if you don't do that, then it, like I said before, it manifests into illness, but it also gets more and more stuck. And we've been conditioned, as I said before, to not express ourselves. So we either suppress or repress emotions. And remember, those emotions aren't necessarily always yours. You might have picked up a lot of emotions when you're in the womb, for example, right? Like womb healing is a big thing. So imagine that you have a trash can full of trash, which is like all your shitty emotions. And what happens is instead of taking the trash out, you're constantly like shoving your foot down so you can fit more and more trash in. That's literally what we're doing every single day. You're repressing or suppressing emotions. The difference is you're either consciously doing it or unconsciously doing it. You're not allowing yourself to feel it because it feels too horrible, right? Now, expressing your emotions is one way to release emotions, but the most effective way is to release the emotions, is to transform the emotions. Because if you think about it, if you're feeling really angry, if you're feeling really resentful, if you're feeling really like sad or guilty or ashamed or whatever, just take for a moment, like think about how much time, effort, and energy it's taking you to hold on to that emotion.
That's a deep question.
Right? So if you're in or have been in a toxic relationship, think about how much time, effort, and energy you spend thinking about that relationship or that person. It's a lot.
And what if you get triggered? Like you start to reflect on that, and it becomes triggering.
Yeah, exactly, right? So that's why it's not just like you can express yourself, you can go and write a letter and not mail it, and like go and tell them how you feel and rah, or tell your friends, but that doesn't necessarily release or transform the energy. If anything, sometimes that makes it worse. That's why like I don't typically believe or subscribe in like psychology or talk therapy or counseling or whatever, because what you get more of what you focus on. And energy work is the deepest, most powerful work of all. It's 90% of the work. You release energy, you're like 90% of the way done in any way, shape, or form. Because the energy work is like the weed, it's like the root part of the weed that you're wanting to pull out. You dig that weed, you dig that root out, and you're good. That weed's not going to grow back again. Right? So you can like imagine if you could not just release that energy, but transform that energy. All that time, effort, and energy that you spent into being upset, blaming or shaming or being angry at that person or that relationship or yourself, or putting yourself in that position. Imagine if you transform that energy instead. Imagine if you use that to fuel you to, follow your passions. Imagine if you transform that into courage. Imagine if you transform that into being more loving. Right? It's like you've transformed all the trash that you've been keeping for the last 30, 40, whatever years. And instead of it being trash, you're turning it into treasure. You're like waving your magic wand and you're like, wow, now this is now gold.
So, hello. We have somebody joining here as well. For anybody who's joining, we have interview with, my internet here, Alexis. And she's a relationship and love coach, and we're talking about transformation from surviving to thriving. If you have any question, you can also add in the comments. So I would love to, thank you so much for sharing about that. And for anybody who would like to work with Alexis, we are going to add social media and website connect. Could you share a little more how you help your prospects to transform, to change that energy in the work you're doing with them? I know it is a secret, but if you can share just a teeny part.
Absolutely. So no secrets. So there's 3 levels of transformation, right? So there's conscious, there's subconscious, and there's energetic. So if you imagine that whatever the problem that you have right now, whether it be you don't believe you're worthy, whether it be that you don't believe that you're deserving, whether it's people pleasing, it's being stuck in a toxic relationship, it's wanting to actually be in a relationship, it's being depressed, like whatever it is, imagine that that's a weed, and imagine that your life is a garden. And if you don't pull out that weed, what happens when it rains? What happens when you leave that weed to its own devices? It's going to multiply, right? Like weeds multiply. They're like rabbits. They multiply and then they grow throughout the garden. So imagine that garden is your life, and that weed has grown into every single area of your life. Because if you're holding on to the belief that you're not good enough, you're unworthy, that you're undeserving, that you're unlovable, whatever it is, then that's going to affect your love life. It's going to affect all your relationships. It's going to affect your health. It's going to affect your work. And you're not going to show up fully in your life. You're not going to dive deep into doing the things that you're really passionate about, because you're going to be afraid. You're going to be afraid of rejection. You're going to be afraid of judgment. You're going to be afraid of failure. You're going to be afraid of success. And you're going to be afraid of not being good enough. So that transcribes into, okay, well, then you're either going to become a perfectionist, or you're not going to try at all and you're going to procrastinate, or you'll work until a certain point and then you'll give up. Now, if you think about that, that's really prevalent in so many different areas of your life. It's like the 3-week rule, right? Where like someone's like, yeah, I want to go work out. And then they go and work out for 3 weeks because they want to lose weight. And then after 3 weeks, they're back on the couch, binge eating, watching Netflix. Or not working, or not going to the gym anymore. Like, have you been there before? Like everybody has, right? Yeah. So, and if you think about that, all of that is due to that one weed, that one belief. And a belief is just a story that you tell yourself over and over and over again. So the first step is to get really conscious, and that's the first layer, right? It's what you can see in the garden. It's like, oh yeah, I can see that weed. To get conscious of the fact that, hey, you have a weed. You have the shitty belief that is keeping you small and stuck and in hiding and afraid in your life. And what areas of your life is it actually affecting, and how is it affecting you? And what is it stopping you from being, doing, and having in health, in wealth, in relationships, in purpose or work? Like, how is this affecting you? So that's the conscious part, right? That's like the, it's like talk therapy stuff. So that's like the psychology stuff, the counseling stuff. It's the base level coaching stuff. So it's identifying, getting really, really aware of that. Then the second level is, well, just below the soil, you can see the middle part of the weed, and that is what is your subconscious beliefs. And these are beliefs that you aren't even aware that you have, right? So this is something that is ruining your life without you even knowing it. This is creating the same patterns over and over and over again that you are not even conscious and aware of that you have. And that is the point, and that is a purpose of getting a really, really good coach, healer, etc., right? Because they help you see that and they help you uncover it. So it's like digging like the soil so you can see the middle part of the weed. And that's subconscious, right? So the subconscious work that I do is a combination of deep coaching and meditation, energy healing, and hypnosis. And it's getting you to actually see and feel, where did this come from? What event in your childhood, in your life, in your past lives, in your parents' lives, wherever, like, where did this come from for this weed to start growing, right? And then the third step is the most powerful step of all, and it's why I've combined all three in like all the methodologies that I do, is the energy work behind it. So like let's look at the very bottom of this weed, the root, because when you pull out the root, you're good, like this thing's not going to grow back again, right? Let's look at the bottom of the root, and that root is energy. And what energy is it's emotion. It's the feeling, right? it's the fear, it's anxiety, it's the guilt, the shame, whatever. It's whatever that is. Because imagine that you've got okay, imagine that you can see your aura, like you can see your body, and imagine that there's like black spots inside your body and around your body. So that's your aura, your energetic field around you, right? That is like that literally exists. So these black spots or these dark spots, it's just blocked energy. It's stuck energy. So it's the negative beliefs, the negative stories, the limiting beliefs. It's the I'm not good enough, I can't do this, I'm not worthy, I'm undeserving, I'm different, I don't belong. All of those things that are just like black spots in your body, which is preventing energy from moving through your body. And if you think about it, like let's say that there's like you've got a stuck energy in your throat, which is stopping you from expressing yourself and stopping you in so many ways. Like everybody has it, right? To some extent. What's going to happen is if you want a loving relationship, if you want to make 10, 20, 30, 100K a month, if you want to be really successful, like dancer, singer, artist, coach, healer, therapist, like whatever it is for you, if you want that, but you're blocked here, you're not going to receive it. Because you only have so much space to receive. There's only so much space in your body, in your field for you to receive. So if you're not constantly clearing, then how can you receive what you want? Right? So that's what I help people do. So I help people unblock, shift and clear and transform the stuck energy, the energy, the beliefs, the emotions, the stories, conscious, subconscious, energetic, away from them, so they have space to receive, so they have space to create, so they can get back into alignment. And that's why my clients get the results that they do. Like, it's like, honestly, I'm shocked when it happens, because I'm like, oh my god, that is amazing. Like, I had two of them I think it was like 2 months ago, and I was like, how are you going? They did a group program with me, and they were like, oh, I'm the happiest I've ever been. I'm like, oh, what are you talking about? Like, do you mean like, in the last few months? They're like, no, ever. I was like, holy shit. Right? Like,
that sounds,
yeah, they were like, before I worked with you, I was really depressed, I was really anxious, and now I'm the happiest ever. And I was like, wow, that's amazing, because it's the power of it. And then there's like, so that's the feeling result. Then the tangible result is they're showing up, they're expressing themselves online. Like, one of them is starting to run retreats, which he's always wanted to do. The other one is like standing up for himself and expressing himself at work. The other, and he's starting to like not stand up to his friends, but start to talk about how he voice how he feels and express his opinion with his friends. Because if you're a really big people pleaser, that's really, really hard to do, right? And it means that you're always kind of that person in relationships where you feel small, where you feel resentful, you're like, oh, like yucky energy. So those are the results of it. And then it was even more crazy. Like, one of them was like, oh my god, I met this girl, she's so incredibly attractive, like too attractive for me, like, we're in a really good relationship. And I was like, wow, that's amazing. So yeah, that's why I've coined the term like relationships into the title of what I do, because everyone's now in amazing relationships, which is so beautiful. But it's just the result of when you love yourself, then you make space to receive love, and you receive love.
Well, thank you for sharing the process you're doing with your prospects. And for anybody interested, please DM Alexis on private. And I would love to ask you before we finish, also, if you have any questions, please write in the comments before we finish. Alexis is relationship and love coach and energy healer coach. I would love to ask you, for anybody who is at the very beginning of the healing journey, like even when I was living my abusive relationships back 5 years ago, and then another one 2 years ago, how to reconnect with yourself, because I think that's the first step I had to do. And when I talk with another survivors doing the documentary or podcast, I see that many times it is the hardest thing is to just be with yourself. Is there any any advice you can give on how to do it more frequently, and why it's so hard? Because, well, you explain it kind of why it's so hard, but I would like to hear it again.
Okay, so I think there's three really critical components with this, right? Like it's really, really hard to connect with yourself if you don't know how, or if you've never done it before. So I'm going to give you, like, I'm really a big fan of practical steps. So the first step is identify what you don't want in your life. Like, what don't you want? You know, and it's literally writing it down and going, I don't want someone who doesn't love me. I don't want someone who doesn't respect me. I don't want someone who yells at me. I don't want someone who hits me. I don't want someone rah, rah, rah. Like, what don't you want in your life? I don't want to do something that I hate. I don't want to do something that I don't love. Like, what are all the things that you don't want in your life, and in all the areas of your life, health, wealth, relationships, etc. Like, I don't want to have no energy, blah, 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 right? Mm-hmm. Then the second thing is then, okay, use that to identify, well, what do you actually want? Like, what is a vision that you want to create for your life? Because everything starts with energy and everything starts with intention. So it is really, really hard for you to connect to something that you don't know what to connect to, right? Like, how can you get into alignment if you've got nothing to align to? So create that vision for yourself. So what do you ultimately want in health, wealth, relationships, and purpose/work career? Like, what do you want? What does it look like? What does it feel like? Right? Like, for me personally, I wanted freedom. I wanted to be able to do whatever I want, whenever I want, with whoever I want. I wanted to go, like, I wanted to have the freedom to spend time at the beach, to you know, to have time, emotional and financial freedom, right? Because I felt trapped for so long. So what is it that you actually want? What does it look like? What does it feel like? So what that looks like for me is I can get up whenever I want. I can go skating at the beach whenever I want. I can make videos whenever I want. Like, I can do what I love, right? And make a big impact and difference in this world, because that's what I really am passionate about doing. Then the third thing is, okay, so once you've identified what don't you want, what do you actually want, is the easiest way to connect in with yourself is connect back in with joy. What do you love to do? And if you don't know that, what do you like to do? What makes you happy? What makes you feel good? Is like, and write down all the big and little things. It could be, you know, wearing this outfit makes me feel good. You know, eating this makes me feel good. Going to yoga makes me feel good. You know, spending time with this person makes me feel good. Like, what is it? What are all the things that you like, love, and or make you feel good? And then do them. Because when you're doing them, that's when you get into flow. And the more you do them, then it's easier for you to see and feel the signs to get you back into alignment, right? And alignment is literally all about, what alignment means is following the right path for you, whatever that whatever that looks like, but it feels right and it feels good. And most of the time it's like, you're like, this makes no sense, right? Like, oh my God, I studied this for X amount of years and now I'm doing this. Like, why does this feel right now? It's because you're always changing. There's no one purpose. There's no one direction. There's no one path. There's no destiny. It's literally, it's always going to be evolving because you're always evolving. Does that help?
Yeah, I feel like we are transformers.
Literally.
Like, constantly. And that's what makes us finally happy as well, to see that progress. And right, because of everything is changing. If we are not growing, then we are regressing or destroying.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. And the last thing I really want to share is that you always, in order for you to have a breakthrough, you have to go through a breakdown. So if you're going through a breakdown in the moment, it's not the end of the world. Like, welcome it. Like, welcome the fact that it's uncomfortable and you're ugly crying. And like, I had one of these days on Monday, and like it feels like hell, and you're just like, oh my God, what was I saying? Like, the lines I was saying last week and this week, I was like, my existence is futile and I'm a failure of a human being. Like, that's literally how I felt, right? But welcome those moments, because those are the moments where you're going to massively change and massively grow. And you need to have those moments, because remember, without darkness, there is no light. Without pain, there is no joy.
That contrast. Contrast. Yeah.
Life is duality. So we've got to embrace the bad as well as the good, and realize that the bad is just getting us back into alignment. It's showing us what is not working in our life and what we need to let go of.
I love that. That is a feedback.
Yeah, exactly.
At the end of the day.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, thank you that my heart is breaking and I feel like I want to die right now, because you're showing me that this is not working for me.
I love that. And that healthy inner monologue with your inner child, that's what you are also we are teaching your prospects, your clients to develop that healthy relationship within yourself. And
Yeah.
so, Alexis, before we finish, please share with us how anybody can connect with you. If you have anything more to add, what I didn't ask you, please do that. And for anybody who want to make a question, please add it. We are for the next 5 minutes, and then we are out of the live. So remind
Absolutely.
us.
Thank you. So anyone like if anything that I've said resonates with you and you really, really want to love yourself, you want to learn how to express yourself, or you want to find and attract love, or you want to have like this level of high vibe energy where you feel really good and you're really happy with yourself and your life, that's what I help people do, right? And what I'm really, really passionate about is that, and what I really, really love doing is I love helping people find and attract love, because that means that the self-love that yeah, you have learned how to love yourself, and now you're at a stage where you can attract those amazing relationships into your life, right? And you learn how to, and you know how to really love and embrace and accept yourself and your body, and you're doing what you absolutely love. Like for me, it's all about that. Like I love love. So if all of that resonates with you, then send me a DM. Send me a DM and be like, hey, Alexis, I saw you on this live and I'm really keen to learn more about how you can help me. Because then I'll have a chat to you and we'll be like, okay, cool. What are you struggling with? And we can have a chat about what you're struggling with, what you want, and how I can help you. So best way is DM me. I'm like always on my DMs, so I will reply to you personally.
And let's say again, transform with Alexis. And there is also a title on the side, but just to add it.
Yes.
And
IG
also
is,
on.
yeah. Yep, sorry.
Okay.
Transform with Alexis.
All right. Thank you so much, Alexis, for being on our live. And also thank you for your help and support, because of behind the scenes, Alexis is just amazing, generous, loving friend and also coach. And I couldn't be where I am right now as well without your support. And so I wanted to add at the end that I'm very grateful and thankful for being generous with your time and energy and serving so much and doing this from your heart, because I can feel that. And I think anybody listening this podcast, watching on Instagram or YouTube, can see your energy, your intentions, and just looking forward to see you changing lives around the world. Continue your great work, and thank you so much.
Thank you, beautiful. Before we go, I just want to remind everyone that like attracts like, right? So everyone that you speak to is a reflection of you. Like your outer world is a reflection of your inner world. So the love, the gratitude that you have for everybody else, that's reflected back to you. Like you attract these beautiful, loving souls into your life because you are a beautiful, loving soul. So you are honestly making amazing things happen in this world, and it's all from your desire to just help and serve and raise the vibration of the planet, because you're an incredible, incredible, incredible light in this world. So thank you for doing what you do and being who you are and shining your bright,
Thank you.
shining your light.
Shining your light. Thank you, everybody, for watching, and see you soon. See you, Alexis. Bye-bye.
Sending you so much love.
Thank you.